All right. Yep, it's 7. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm gonna grab my notes. Um, Welcome back. Sorry about missing last week. Just had a scheduling conflict, but glad to be back. As always, drop any of those questions. I like to keep these, very Q&A heavy. It's markets are closed. We can't trade anything if we wanted to, but we can get ready for the next day, answer questions, etc. So, fire away with those questions. And that being said, let's get started. So very, for overall, for the markets, kind of a choppy week, a lot of news coming out of Davos. Man, how cool is Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick? Man, if you're not familiar with Scott Bessent, definitely check the guy out. Incredible, man. Love that dude. Howard Lutnick as well, just laying some smoke at Davos. America first across the board. Loved it. But, Trump obviously dropping some bombs here and there. Market, gaps up. Then he says something, market gaps down. So it's kind of a choppy week overall for the indexes. But, day trading was, an amazing week. I'll come back to some of that. But I think we had 4 100% runners from Oracle this week. We had BNAI actually hit the squeeze point. Then we had actually THH was a dollar cross play on Friday. Move Thursday night. I mean, day trading wise, just incredible amounts of opportunity. As long as you know what to look for, trade the patterns, etc. Actually, so speaking of BNAI, let me jump over to that one. So that was an interesting one. Where's my notes from the weekend workshop? Yeah. So BNAI would be what we would call a day 3 surge. Okay. Let me jump over there. So BNAI, where's my screen? Oh, wait, hold on. Share screen. There we go. Entire screen. There we go. Sure. So BNAI was what we would consider to be a short squeeze. Okay. So someone asked the question, why didn't BNAI follow the standard penny stock life cycle? Well, remember, the standard penny stock life cycle, 90% of penny stocks spike big day 1, grind sideways day 2, and then they die day 3. Okay. And I actually just published a video to the YouTube the other day. That is 90% plus of penny stocks. Okay. Big 1 day spike, sideways chop day 2, death on day 3. Now, what separated BNAI was it broke the mold. Okay. It did not follow what 90% of penny stocks do, because on day 3, it didn't collapse. It didn't fall apart. It held up. Now, I want to point a couple things out. Number 1, the Oracle signal on Wednesday, BNAI, was $9.29. I gave that Wednesday afternoon as an entry. That entry never hit Wednesday or Thursday. Then it did on Friday. Now, the reason I bring that up is if you look below my notes right here, Matt Monaco, who helps me out in the daily income trader system. A lot of you guys know Matt Monaco. I call him Money Matt Monaco. Thursday night, he said, we're going into day 3 and it's Friday. Look for a squeeze on BNAI over 940. Now, what I want you to notice there, that's that confluence that we look for. If you go back to Wednesday, 929 entry on the Double Down webinar at noon, never hit, didn't hit on Wednesday, didn't hit on Thursday. But the key was, notice Monaco and I were looking at the exact same levels. Okay. Now I know I called out 929 and he called 940. I mean, we're talking 11 cents on a $9 stock. It's the same price. Okay. Like sometimes people want to nitpick over a penny. Okay. We're talking 940 and not 929. I mean, it's the exact same price. Notice where his risk was 9. Notice where my risk level was 8.99. So exact same levels, exact same thesis. And Matt gave this out Thursday night. I mean, and what happens Friday? It hits that squeeze point, and then stock goes straight parabolic. Now, what makes BNAI different, and I appreciate this question, is it, does it, let me regroup. Does it make sense to you when something doesn't do what 90% plus of penny stocks do? You have to keep that on your radar for something like BNAI. Now, I'm not saying, by no means did I think it was going to 70. I'm sure Monaco never said it was going to 70. I mean, like, no one had that kind of like price target on this thing. But the point I want to make is that when something does not respect or does not do what 90% plus of penny stocks do, you have to always keep that stock on your radar for key levels, aka 929, 940. So that is what's, and by the way, the questions are going by, or Alexi, great question. Why didn't it, but you're thinking the right way. Okay. That's the beauty. Yeah. And again, Flux nailed it too, by the way. Yeah. I mean, there were so many, actually, let me jump over there. Like the beauty of BNAI is you had, check this out. This is the one Alexi mentioned. 4:10 p.m. Check this one out. In after hours. I mean, that was at 4:10 p.m. Now, the cool thing about Flux is it gives you the entry signals at 2 p.m. So it's not like this came out of the blue. At 2 p.m., Flux looks for the VWAP hold high at daybreak pattern. All of you should be very well versed in the VWAP hold high at daybreak pattern. There's probably 200 videos on the YouTube, like for a decade. Let me grab a drink. For a decade, literally, you could go back. I probably have way more hair. The beard's probably way less gray. Like 10 years ago, me talking about the VWAP hold high at daybreak pattern being the number one pattern for new traders, especially if you want to trade in the afternoon. And now the downside, okay? The downside to these patterns is you have to be watching, you have to be running scans, you have to be watching all kinds of stocks, and then you have to be ready when it breaks the key level. In the instance of BNAI, $17.88 at 4:10 p.m. So what you have to do is focus on the right patterns, but also be ready. Now, that's what Flux accomplished. So Flux is an algo that runs this VWAP scan, looks for that 4% band of VWAP that we trade off of, and then predicts entries based off of the VWAP hold high at daybreak pattern, which was 1788. And then also, it calculates a stop loss and a profit target. Now, the profit target for BNAI was nowhere near $70. Okay. I'm not saying that, but That's the beauty. Now, here's the other thing I want you guys to focus on. Notice 3:30 p.m. This hit the dip and rip algo. Okay? Dip and rip algo. 3:32 p.m. on Friday. Now, here's the entry. 2 p.m. Flux right here. BNAI laid out. Okay, right there. 1788 with the profit targets at 25 and 29. So at 2 p.m., you knew to wait for 1788 for an entry, and then you had price targets at 25 and 28, depending on your level of aggression. Now, the other thing is, you go back, the double down. It was on Oracle. This thing did an RCT on earlier in the week. Like BNAI flagged on so many algos, so many trades that it was incredible. I did not trade BNAI it's embarrassing. So 4 p.m. Friday afternoon, I had a meeting with the COO of Stocks to Trade talking about something that we're going to be talking about. Okay, actually, it's on the agenda tonight. So 4 p.m., I had a meeting with Ches, our COO, and I got done at 5:30, and by 5:30, what was BNAI at? 5:30 p.m., it already exploded. So I did not trade BNAI on Friday. It hurts. It's painful. I certainly wish I did. But here's the thing. Someone actually said it in the Discord over the weekend. A lot of people were like, I missed BNAI, and they were angry and frustrated. Listen, guys, I didn't like the fact that I missed BNAI Friday afternoon. But here's the beauty of the market we're in. It is literally the bus station analogy. This is where I talk about the bus station analogy all the time. I mean, it's not the only trade, okay? Now, I get it. You see a stock go from 15 to 70. But understand, guys, look at Move the night before. NAMM this week. I mean, this isn't the only opportunity we had this week. Actually, THH. So here's another example of one I did take. I did take this. This was a dollar cross play and actually flagged on an algo I'm working on, which is actually one of the things I'm most excited to share with you guys tonight is Claude Code. Okay, I'll come back to that. So let me show you. Where's THH? Where's my notes? THH. Oh, where are you? Right there. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys are using Claude Code at all. If you aren't, you need to be. Okay. And this is why I'm so excited. My friends, we live in the most incredible time in history. Now, I know the world's not perfect. There's a lot of problems in the world. Humans are crazy. There's 8 billion of them on the planet. Okay. The world is far from perfect. Now, I am generally an optimist. Sometimes people get a little frustrated with me because of my optimism. They'll be like, what about this problem? What about that problem? Listen, you can't fix everything. Okay. Trying to fix every problem in the world is called suicidal empathy. Okay. At some point, some people just got to take care of themselves. Okay. The one thing you can take care of is yourself. You can be healthiest you possibly can be. You can smartest. You can be learning skills like Claude Code. The one thing you can control is yourself. You're always worried about everything else. You can't fix their problems anyway. Most of these people don't want help. Okay. Anyway, sorry, almost went off the rails. Okay. So what I was meeting with the COO about was basically Claude Code and how it is my absolute dream come true. So let me tell a story. We got time. You guys busy? You guys got anywhere to be? Let me tell a story. Many of you will recall, speaking of Flux, the 9 months it took me to get Flux from an idea to a live algo. If I recall, I started it in the spring, and this is 2 years ago. I started working with the development team in the spring, and it went live like January or February. Roughly 9 months to get the idea of the Flux algo from an idea to a working algo, working piece of software. 9 months. Now, I'm not a coder, okay? Like some people are like, well, Tim, why don't... So if you know my bio, I've been a technology guy my entire life. I've always been more of a hardware guy. Like back at my business, we were building the internet in the 90s. A lot of you guys have heard this story. I dropped out of college to start an internet company in 1994. And it was 1994. Okay. The internet was, for a lot of people, they didn't get on the internet till 5 years later. I've always been kind of more of a hardware guy, like a router guy, a switch guy, server guy, etc. I can do basic scripting. I understand programming, but I am not a coder to take something like Flux from an idea to production. So I have to work with developers, a team of developers. They have multiple projects. Even though I scream at them, my project isn't always the most important. So it takes time. I'm sure, many of you, like how many of you have gone through a software development project where you whether it be at your business, whether it be at your job, you sketch out the idea of what this application is supposed to do. You take it to the developers. They write up a project scope. They give you a quote for hours, and then they start implementing it. And then you test it, and it breaks, and you fix it. And it's like back and forth. It's just very time consuming. It takes time. So a lot of you guys are familiar with the dollar crossplay. Okay. Type dollar if you're familiar with the dollar crossplay while I grab a drink. So the dollar looks like a lot of you guys are. The dollar crossplay is a very recurring theme. It's those 50, 60, 70 cent stocks that gap up when they cross a dollar with enough volume and a few other criteria. They very, very consistently break 15, 20% when they break it out. Now understand, the dollar cross play, I always say this, it's not a home run strategy. I always call the dollar cross play, it's a good wallet pattern. Okay. Like it's a good way to just make a quick 10, 15, 20% because the pattern is so repeatable. It's so repeatable. It's not a home run strategy, but it's a great way to just make a quick trade on a predictable setup. Now, almost every day, we talk about these, we go over these, but people miss them all the time. So this week, I fired up Claude, explained this is, you guys, if you take one thing away from this tonight, like everything that we're going to discuss trading wise, if you take one thing away from this, you have to be using and studying and giving AI use cases and testing it and working with it. Okay, I'll move on. I had a conversation with Claude about the dollar cross play. I explained what we look for. I explained what the criteria are. We had a conversation. And within about 15 minutes, Claude built me a working app that alerted THH in real time when it was at like 90 cents as a dollar cross play. Was the only stock. It was the only stock that it picked up on Friday, alerted it in like 90 cents as a buy at $1. And did you guys all see what THH did? It went to $1.46. Only stock predicted before it, alerted before it broke $1. And here's the deal. It took like 15 minutes to build this thing. So what I am so excited about, guys, is you guys know that man, this will get me in trouble. FYI, I always keep it PG, but this will be PG-13. I'm sure all of you guys have heard, ideas are like assholes. Everyone's got them. Okay? So a lot of you guys, but what matters, what truly matters, is if you can implement that idea. So what I can now do is bring to market these ideas within minutes, working tools. I don't have to spend 9 months to bring Flux to market. The squeeze algo that I've been working on for 6 months, I had a working usage in about 45 minutes, looking for the squeeze scan. And then I taught it how to look for the squeeze points. And it's 99% done. So what an incredible time to be alive. Now, a lot of you guys have Stocks to Trade Elite. Okay. For those of you that have Stocks to Trade Elite, get ready. I think that there is a realistic chance I could be releasing a trading tool using my technology background and 20 years of trading experience. Like I could be releasing something once a week, realistically. And what is great is I can, and I know I'm like, some people are like, I'm leaving, hey man, you want to leave? Have a good night. I don't care. We're just hanging out. Okay. The point is, with Stocks to Trade Elite, we will be able to model ideas that I can then use my technology background and trading background to go to Claude AI. And there's a possibility I could have you a working tool within a few days that you would just get as a member of Stocks to Trade Elite. Like you just get it. So that is why this is the most incredible time to be alive. I mean, I used the Rubicon Index on Friday on THH. Literally traded with this because I was like, hey, let's see what happens. I sold at 120. I sold at the 20% goal. It went to 150. I was like, hey, successful dollar cross play. Because remember, the dollar cross play is like a we're just looking for 15 to 20%. I sold around $1.20. It goes to $1.46, but it was the only stock. And I know I am repeating this. It was like 15-minute conversation to have this thing built. So incredible time to be alive. And those of you in STT Elite, get freaking excited. Like, oh, by the way, also not a Claude project, okay? But those of you in DIT that have Oracle, this is not Claude. This was done the old-fashioned way. But FYI, Oracle 2.0 is going to be released. Hoping for a week, okay? Hoping for a week. Don't hold me to that, okay? But very soon. It's done. Just doing final quality assurance, final testing, etc. But I mean, it's just like, I mean, listen, Oracle crushes it. I mean, you guys know the results this week. I mean, again, I think we had 400% trades. I mean, just in a banger of a week. But this is what the new one looks like. Easy. I mean, a lot more information, a lot more guidance. So anyway, now this wasn't Claude, but FYI, those in DIT and Oracle, this, like I said, should be a week. Need a phone app? Guess what, Richie? This is all, that's the beauty. Guys, the Oracle 2.0, fully in the cloud. Use it on your tablet, use it on your phone. So you're good to go. So Richie, good to go. Just got to wait about a week. So now I'll say this. If you don't have Oracle yet, now's the time to get it. Okay. Because this is coming in about a week. Okay. All right. Oh, USAR. Speaking of. So USAR is kind of the number one watch for tomorrow. I'm sure you guys, hopefully you all got the watch list. Okay. This was yet another instance of Flux predicting the news. Now, I want to be perfectly clear. Flux nothing can predict the future. Nothing can predict the future. But something you'll hear a lot in trading is price action is a tell. Okay? Price action is a tell. And a lot of you guys might remember like RGTI a few weeks ago. RGTI on the Sunday night live stream, I'm like, this is probably, it was probably 6 weeks ago. But I'm like, guys, this thing hit the Flux algo. Totally looks like news is coming. That following Monday, we got a bunch of news. RGTI, quantum computing play, took off. USAR, rare earth play. This hit the Flux entry on Friday afternoon. And over the weekend, we got this. Let me grab it here. According to the Financial Times, the U.S. plans to put $1.6 billion into U.S. rare earth USAR, taking a 10% stake and providing $1.3 billion of senior secured debt through a Commerce Department finance facility tied to the CHIPS Act. The package and a separate $1 billion private financing are expected to be announced on Monday. So that's the beauty of having an algorithm that knows to look for the price action where people are building positions. And that is the VWAP hold pattern. And we have had so many of these weekend plays. Okay. Those of you that have Flux, or if you're in STT Elite, you have it. Okay. And it's getting some updates too. At weekend plays, man, this thing is a banger. I mean, BNAI. Now, if you held BNAI over the weekend, you're crazy. But, I mean, you might get lucky. But still a weekend play because BNAI didn't hit until, 4:10 p.m. or whatever, while I was in that meeting. But USAR, probably going to gap huge on Monday based on this news. Now, what I'm getting at is that price action pattern. Everyone knows, okay? Like, don't think for a second that people were not acting on this information on Friday. Now, I would never do that. Hopefully, you would never do that, because if you have if you have privileged information and you trade on it, you're an inside trader. That is your Martha Stewart's bunkmate. Okay. Remember what Martha Stewart did wrong. She was given privileged information and she traded on it. So you can have the information. Like if your buddy calls you on Friday afternoon, says, "Hey man, I work at the government." I got to use the Alex Jones voice. "Hey man, I work at the government. I heard rumors that they're going to put $1 billion in the USAR. You need to buy some shares." That wasn't a bad Alex Jones. Now you can have that information. You simply cannot act on it. Now, we didn't have this information. I knew nothing about this. Flux knew nothing about this. So we can act on it, okay? We can simply follow the price action and we're clean. We're clean. Now, we benefit from the news after the fact, but here's the deal. Don't tell me people were not acting on this on Friday. Like, you're not, no one's that naive, right? Okay. Like, no one's that naive. I guarantee. Now, whether they ever get caught or whether it ever gets found out, I guarantee this news was out there Friday afternoon in some circles. You know, Nancy Pelosi's wine group. Okay. I'm sure Nancy was, where's my, dang it. I don't drink, but I was hoping I had like a Pellegrino bottle that I could act. I usually have those big Pellegrino bottles. I was going to act like I was Nancy. Don't tell me that at Nancy's Friday afternoon wine chugging meetup, they weren't acting on this. Allegedly. So the moral of the story is, when you see stocks moving and following the VWAP hold pattern on Friday afternoons on no news, you need to pay attention. And most Fridays, there's only one or two stocks that hit the flux elbow. So if you see something like USAR trending all through the day, and you're like, why is this up? Why has this got this price action? Why does this chart look like this? Well, guess what? Much like Shakira's hips, the charts don't lie. And that being said, expect a massive gap up on USAR on Monday and going to be very tradable. So if you're not in, like somebody might say, well, Tim, I'm not in USAR. What am I supposed to do? Well, wait for the gap up and then guess what? Trade RCTs, trade Oracle signals, trade dip and rips, trade afternoon VWAP holds. You know, all of these patterns that I go over every single day, there's a very good chance USAR will exhibit, first of all, it's going to gap from flux. Never, Hey, man, get up at 4 a.m. You'll probably be happy. It's probably going to do an RCT. It's probably going to do a dip and rip. It's probably going to hit Oracle. And then there's a good chance it hits Flux again. It would not surprise me to see this thing hit Flux again. So that's why it's the number one stock. Again, some of you are like, well, what am I supposed to do? I didn't know about it Friday. Hey, man, I don't think this thing's done. Look at Intel. Look at MP. Okay? So there you go. All right. We got a lot of news this week. Let me run through the big headlines. A lot of data dropping this week. So we got the Canada tariff news. Looks like Canada buckled. Big surprise. We got government shutdown news coming back. I don't really care. I mean, who cares? We've got January consumer confidence data Tuesday. We got an interest rate. We got the Fed on Wednesday. We got Microsoft, Meta, and Tesla earnings on Wednesday. Apple earnings on Thursday. And then PPI inflation data on Friday. So what I am getting at is, call in sick to work. Okay. Now, it's going to be an incredible week. There's going to be so much volatility, so many plays with all of these data drops. Now, I know a lot of you probably don't trade Apple. You don't trade Meta. You don't trade Microsoft. But the reaction to the earnings, and remember, you can trade options. It always kind of bums me out that people think they can't trade the higher price stocks. Ben Sturgill, him and I worked together in Iris. Iris, if you don't know, it's an AI for detecting the best swing trades. And then Ben Sturgill is my co-mentor in Iris, and he gives out a boatload of options trades, and he gives options education. So again, if you have STT Elite, you get all of this. You get everything. You get Iris. You get Flux. You get the Rubicon Index when it comes out. You've got Squeeze Master. You got the upgraded version of Oracle. You've got all these other tools that I'm about to come out with. So anyway, those are the big data drops we got this week. CRML should benefit. Somebody asked about CRML. They should benefit from the USAR news. So just kind of most of the rare earths are probably going to be in play tomorrow because of the USAR news. So any questions? I think I'm pretty much got through everything. Thank you for the kind comments on the Alex Jones impersonation. I used to have a really good one. It's kind of like anything. If you don't practice it, if you're not training for it, it's going to slip. So my Alex Jones used to be way better, but thanks for the kind comments. So okay, I don't see any questions. So the Rubicon Codex, that is my Claude Code app for the dollar crossplay. Okay. So the Rubicon Codex is just the fancy name. Actually, I'll put that in chat. So that's just a cool name. So I asked Claude for a cool name. And I tell you, we live in the greatest time in history, my friends. So it came up with a name. And I'm like, because like think about it. Think about the idea behind the dollar cross play. You know, it's a significant level that consistently creates a spike. It's like crossing the Rubicon. You know, I'm sure you guys all know that from your Roman history. Hopefully you're all right there. Right there's the rise and fall. Man, I'm a terrible weatherman. Yeah, right there's the decline and fall. God dang it. Man, I suck. Right there. Right there. Anyway, so Claude came up with that idea, or came up with a name. But so that is the vibe coded algo for the dollar cross play. So some of you asking, is that part of Elite? It's not out yet. It'll probably be out later this week. You'll have it. Okay. So all of these, that's why I was so excited to talk about this. All of these tools that I'm going to vibe code will be part of Elite. So that's why I was so excited to see some of my Elite members here, is because as soon as they're done, as soon as I get them off Replit and get them moved on to a production server, you guys will just have it. You know, you'll just have it. So, watch list. Yeah, let me, where is it? Right there. Copy text. I just dropped this week's watch list in the comments. Now, guys, every week, remember, just subscribe. Okay. Stocks to trade.com/watch list. Oops. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So you never have to ask for it. Okay. Just subscribe. I haven't missed a Sunday in 10 years. Okay. So, now again, I'm happy to give you the link. But you can just subscribe. I haven't missed a Sunday in 10 years. And most weeks it comes out, 2, 3 p.m., etc. So, no, Elite is not a yearly subscription. Elite is a one-time fee. So again, people like to spread misinformation. We're still in the days of COVID, I swear. So Stocks to Trade Elite is a lifetime subscription to every trading tool and like, remember, before vibe coding, I would come out with about 1 or 2 tools a year, which made STT Elite a great value because there's a one-time fee, lifetime access to everything I create now and in the future. Now, the cool thing is with vibe coding, it's probably not going to be 2 tools. Like I averaged about 2 tools a year because most of them took about 6 months to get to production. So the beautiful thing is, if you're in Elite, you're like, again, I'm not guarantee I'm going to vibe code something every week. I'm a busy guy. But the point is, those of you that are in elite, like, your value just went through the roof, because now you're not going to get 1 or 2 tools a year in addition to everything you had in the past. It could be, who knows? So that's why I was so excited. All right. Have a great night, my friends. A little off topic as always. I did have a ton of questions. Next time, I would love, guys, to get more questions. I say this a lot, like the idea behind the Sunday night use live stream is we're just kind of the goal is we're hanging out, talking stocks. Like, the goal of the Sunday night live stream is, this is how I visualize it. Like, if we were hanging out, if you hang out with me, basically the only thing I talk about is hunting and fishing and stocks. So the way I visualize the Sunday night YouTube is we're just like hanging out, talking stocks. Now, obviously, I go off on tangents and talk about hunting and fishing. Oh, by the way, check out my birthday present from the lovely Mrs. Bohen. The lovely Mrs. Bohen got me a Shadow Systems MR920. So, very nice. You got to love the lovely Mrs. Bohen. My birthday was Monday or Tuesday. I don't remember the day. Anyway, I end up off on tangents, of course. But, it's, again, like, I would love to have more questions next week because the goal is just kind of hanging out, talking stocks. So, all right. Have a great night, my friends. And we will see y'all next time.